Hey folks, so why do they lie so much about socialism, right? Any conversation you have about socialism is just going to be littered with untruths. For example, they'll tell you socialism has never built anything, right? Socialism has never built anything. So you can go down the line and talk about, the space program. You can talk about, the Dnieper Dam, the Three Gorges Dam, the Aswan Dam. You can describe how, both Russia and China became superpowers with planned economies. So then they'll back away from it. They'll be like, oh, okay, sure, it builds stuff, but, and then they have some excuse. But then the next conversation that they have, the next time someone's talking to them about socialism, they'll be like, well, socialism's never built anything. It's a bluff. It's a bluff. Or take Venezuela, for example, right? They'll say, oh, everyone has just been starving and miserable in Venezuela ever since they adopted socialism. And then you'll point to the fact that their economy was experiencing decent rates of growth until 2014 and the oil price dropped. And then they'll go, see, well, yeah, but that's because of blah, blah, blah. And then the conversation goes on. But then the next time they're talking about Venezuela with somebody who doesn't know anything, it'll be, everyone's all been starving ever since, the socialism came into power in Venezuela. And you have to ask yourself, why do they lie? Why do they lie? All right? If their argument was actually strong, they wouldn't have to try and bluff and just assume you don't know about, the Aswan Dam, the Three Gorges Dam, the space program, the invention of the cell phone, the invention of LED lights. They wouldn't have to tell you socialism's never led to any invention, socialism's never constructed anything. They wouldn't have to tell you that all Venezuela's been starving the entire time and that their problems weren't new. They wouldn't have to lie if they had truth on their side. Remember that, right? They don't say socialism had problems. That would be a fair point. They don't say that there have been difficulties with socialism. They don't say that there's been big setbacks with socialism. No, they say socialism has never created anything. Socialism has never invented anything. Socialism has just led to mass starvation and death and misery the entire time. That's easily disprovable. It's easily disprovable. But you have to ask yourself, why do they feel a need to lie? Right? Why can't they just admit, sure, socialism's had some successes, but they'll never do that. You have to ask yourself that question, right? They lie for a reason. They lie for a reason. And even if you disprove their point, the next argument that they're having, right? When someone's not in the room, who knows that, Sputnik was the first human spacecraft, who knows that Yuri Gagarin was the first person in outer space, who knows that Soviets developed the cell phone. When that person's not in the room, all of a sudden it goes back to, well, socialism has never produced anything. It's just failed everywhere it's ever been tried. Nothing has ever been produced. And then Venezuela has been starving from the very minute socialists took office. From the very minute socialists took office, there hasn't been any economic growth. And they go back to that. Why do they lie like that? Why do they lie if they have truth on their side? The hint, they don't. Their entire philosophy, the entire free market argument, the entire viewpoint that markets and profits are the best that humanity can do, it's a house of cards and it comes tumbling down. And the only reason it survives is because socialists play along with it and they buy the premise of their arguments because they're too afraid to be tankies and defend anti-imperialist governments. They don't want to be associated with the successes of planned economies. They're too afraid. That's really what it gets down to.